welcome to No Apologies on Beck.
It's Friday.
It's Friday,
All day.
TGIF. Here, we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker. Our co-host, Lori Hintz. We've got another good show for you. Luke Simons is representative in the state legislature. He's going to be with us.
From Dickinson, so he will be here. And we've got a lot to talk about today. And we're going to do a mailbag, too. So we have some very interesting stuff in our mail.
Yep.
It's getting more interesting as we are going along, too.
So we've got one that's more of a we'll say heavy. I don't want to say downer, but we're going to talk about executive orders. We're kind of going through them. We're trying not to make them so heavy and burdensome. We just hit a few at a time. We're going to hit couple, 3, 4, who knows what, and we'll zip right through them. Again, these are President Biden's executive orders, of which he is doing very, very many. Arguably,
I've literally lost count. I don't even know how many, because day by day he adds even more. And that first week there were, I want to say 22. By the like 8 days in or 9 days in, it was like 32. And so,
executive orders, those very things that President Biden earlier had said only dictators use rather than going through the legislature. All right, let's flip up our first graphic. This is a modernizing regulatory review. It says, our nation today faces serious challenges, including a massive global pandemic, a major economic downturn, systemic racial inequality, and the undeniable reality and accelerating threat of climate change. Regulations that promote the public interest are vital for tackling national priorities. So there's so many things to unpack here.
Right.
One of the things is this
racial
inequality. Yep. Yeah. Well, they're hitting that again. Every single one.
EO, right? Everything that we've done so far has talked about racial inequality and social justice.
Yep. And the economic downturn, of course, is temporary
because of the pandemic.
Because of the pandemic, although they are potentially going to make it long-term, depending on what policies they enact. One of the things that's interesting here, they keep trying to like hit us over the head. Undeniable reality of climate change. And the thing is, if it was undeniable, you wouldn't have to keep saying that.
Exactly right.
I mean, you wouldn't have to try to continue to try convincing me that this is true. If it's undeniable, it's the weirdest darn thing.
Well, also the other words that they use in this too: accelerating threat of climate change. The accelerating threat, the earnestness of making sure that we are aware that it is a threat and that it is getting worse and faster and faster.
Yes, absolutely. All right, hit the next one for this particular. These recommendations should provide concrete suggestions on how the regulatory review process can promote public health and safety, economic growth, social welfare, racial justice, environmental stewardship, human dignity, equity, the interests of future generations. It's everything for everyone. The recommendations should also include proposals that would ensure regulatory review serves as a tool to affirmatively promote regulations that advance these values. These recommendations should be informed by public engagement with relevant stakeholders.
There's some trigger words in there for me. The word equity is there once again.
It's
and
there.
I think Ben Shapiro had something today that said something about equity and how inequality is what they mean when they say equity. It's just absolutely inequality with regard to equity. It's another one of those buzzwords that's in all of the executive orders that we've read. Same sort of thing, same beating the dead horse with, we need this to be
and
diverse.
There are a couple of words in there that jump out at me too. Human dignity.
Right.
Okay. Human dignity is what we conservatives are all about. Human dignity requires a sense of self-worth, a sense of being a contributor to your community.
Correct.
The policies of the left are continually engaging dependence and that type of thinking.
Precisely.
Victimization.
Yep.
The cult of being a victim. They're constantly about that, whereas on the other side of things, and the reason why I proudly proclaim that I'm a conservative, it is about ensuring, to the best of our abilities, the dignity of the individual.
And the dignity of all human life. That, to me, was my take was going in terms of, look at what has happened to those people who are in nursing homes, how their dignity has been absolutely stripped unnecessarily from them by this pandemic. look at the dignity, the indignity of killing millions of babies. To me, that is where I go with the dignity of, human life.
Yep. I can't disagree with any of that. I mean, you're exactly right. They go on to say that they'll propose procedures that take into account the distributional consequences of regulations to ensure that regulatory initiatives appropriately benefit and do not inappropriately burden disadvantaged, vulnerable, or marginalized communities. So what they are talking about is they are going to use regulation, just like executive order, executive order, to redistribute.
I was just going to say that word, yes, from A to B, and then take away from C, and then redistribute everything. You're exactly, and I think that's the intent.
Yes. So, ABC. So there is, Amity Shlaes wrote a book called The Forgotten Man. Okay, so I don't know for sure, but I think that it was FDR that talked about the forgotten man being the person who was down and out, that they needed to redistribute and provide for. Amity Shlaes wrote, I believe, it was a wonderful book, about the forgotten man not being the person who was down and out that the government was providing for, but the person whom the government was taking from to redistribute and giving to. That is the forgotten man, the forgotten person.
Oh, that's a great point.
Stakeholder. So dignity was one that stuck out to me.
Right.
Stakeholder is another one that sticks out to me.
Yes.
Do you know who the stakeholders are in this type of executive order?
Who are they talking about specifically?
They're talking about, number one, politicians, right? Politicians that are there for power, for greed, and money, right? Number two, for businesses and lobbyists that are part of this game, big business, that are the rent seekers, it's a term that's used because they want to get in on the game to make money, to make profit, to gain power by being part of this process by which the government enacts these policies where people are on the dole. And so they are stakeholders.
Yep.
The people receiving the money, people receiving the programs, the benefits of the programs, they are the stakeholders. The people from which they take the money to create those programs, they are not the stakeholders.
Nope, you're right.
That's you, that's me, that's you.
Yep.
We are the forgotten man. Biden is doing exactly what was written about and what happened during the Great Depression with no regard for the forgotten man, for those people that are hardworking individuals trying to make a living. The government comes up with all sorts of schemes to redistribute in a very Marxist fashion for a greater community according to how they envision it.
And this executive order only had 3 words: modernizing regulatory review, and that's all in here. So let's go to the next one too. Executive order on ethics commitments by executive branch personnel. Enforcement: any former appointee who is determined after notice and hearing by the duly designated authority within an agency to have violated his or her pledge may be barred from lobbying any officer or employee of that agency for up to 5 years in addition to the time period covered by the pledge. And you just talked about lobbyists just a moment ago, and here it is in the next executive order.
Well, to me, this is a silly one. Okay, so what he's doing with this one is saying, hey, we're gonna get serious about these staffers if they're not following ethics. But the penalty is you can't lobby your own organization for 5 years. That's the penalty. So essentially, you know how we used to have a mask mandate in Bismarck, and there was no penalty?
Right. No
Doesn't mean anything.
Does not matter. Does not mean anything.
That's a dumb executive order.
So.
You know what, Joe? Do all those executive orders you want. They're just dumb.
That is really, really silly, too. That just seems goofy. So will Biden prosecute himself for his deals with Ukraine and China? I'm just curious.
I'm going to guess no.
Because, if he's going to get serious about it, after all, I mean...
It's only for staffers.
So it doesn't apply to the president, apparently.
No, it's executive branch personnel. I don't think he considers himself one of the personnel. All right.
All right.
I don't even know. Gosh, there's so many.
I know.
We're going to just have
we just done a couple at a time here, but we'll come back and we'll do, I know, right? We'll do more later.
There's so many.
It's all right. When we come back, we will introduce you to a very, very nice representative. We'll be right back.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef in all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. Luke Simons, Representative Luke Simons is with us, our special guest tonight. Luke, you are from Dickinson. What district are you?
36.
36.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
He's one of my favorites. I'm just going to say that right after that. No, he really is. You legit are one of my favorites. I've been to your house. I've hung out with you. I really love going out to Dickinson because everybody's so nice. So
Were you at the chili cook-off?
I've been on and the pies, all of it. All of it. The Harvest Festival is the best thing ever.
Gotcha.
Very, very fun.
So Luke, I wanted to talk to you about life. Now, you have a bill you want to talk about, but we're going to hold you over for a second segment to talk about your bill.
Okay.
So we're just going to talk about life. And here's the thing. So, Luke, when did we meet? Was that in 15?
Boy, I think it would have been in 15,
Oh,
yeah.
15. Anyway, Luke supported me when I ran for governor, and immediately I got to know him very well and his family, and I have always thought you've been a fascinating individual. And but here's the thing why I think that it's interesting and worthy talking about. One thing that I am just enamored with regard to Luke, his family, and his community is this. When I go out and visit you and meet your family, meet the people that are with you, I am just so taken aback by the sense of community. And you and I seemingly have such different lives, or our experiences, our life experience, our lived experiences, as the progressives say. And I'm speaking with my authentic voice.
Good job.
So, but one thing that I think it just stands out is the sense of community I see amongst you, your friends, and your family. And I don't know if it has a little or a lot to do with your religion, a little or a lot to do with being from ranching families, a little or a lot to do with Western North Dakota. I don't know what it is, but what I see is something that I think is enviable.
It's special.
These folks are a sense of community. I feel like it's something that goes back, like you would expect if it was 100 years ago, and not mean technologically back or nothing like that. Just the sense of community that I think most of America has lost. And not to get too philosophical, but I believe that in many ways, finding that sense of community is the cure to what ails America so much. So, what are your comments on that? Because you know, I mean, where I stand on all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm floored. Am I blushing?
No, you're not blushing, but you should be, because he's not wrong. I mean, I feel the exact same way about whenever I go to Dickinson, whenever I'm with the people that you're around. I feel the exact same way that Rick does about that too. There's something very, very throwback and special and honest about the relationships you have with your community and the people that you hang out with. And it's enviable. I'm envious.
Oh, well, you called me special just a little while ago, so I was not exactly sure where that was going, but
I meant that in the most
So what do you think? So I tossed out a couple of ideas. What do you think that stems from? First off, do you recognize what I'm talking about?
I've been told this pretty much all my life. Yeah.
Okay. Does it come from your religion?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, yeah. We stem from Quakers, is what we are. So it's your 5 great-grandfathers ago was one of the signers of the Constitution, and we came over here from religious freedoms, and that really just made us a very not seclusive group, but it made us a very close group of people that really keep an eye on our communities. And if you're one of us, like, you're one of us. Mm-hmm. And if you're a friend with one of us, you're a friend with all of us. And so, like, the Rick Becker, anywhere you go out west that is any Quaker would have a place to stay, because pretty much all of us are familiar with your work. Even though you are as different as day and night from us, we have that similar concept. And then some of it is out west too. If you go to South Dakota, it is so much fun. I love going to South Dakota. Because,
oh, you mean Free Dakota?
Yeah, Free Dakota, yeah. States, yeah, the last America state. But I bought a stock trailer not too long ago. And I lost a wheel bearing. This guy lived down in a hole in the Badlands of South Dakota. And like 40, maybe 60 miles away from there, I lost a wheel bearing. One rancher showed up, parked right in the middle of the highway. Another one shows up 20 minutes later. They drug me in. They fed my whole family. One had a part of the bearing, another one had a part of the... They all came back 3 hours later. I tried to pay them, and they would not take money because that was their community. And so we have tried to keep that sense of community in our area. And so we're very, I wouldn't say clannish, but very close, very close. Like, everyone in my church, their children are like my children. They are completely like my grandchildren. In fact, I buy all of them Christmas presents. I think 70 of them. I bought them Christmas presents. I love them all. And they feel the same way about me. I'm their uncle. And, you know, you think Joe Biden is bad. I'm probably worse. I'm like, I'm not sniffing grown ladies, but I definitely, you know, if they're little kids, I mean, they're
hugging them and grabbing them and helping keeping them safe. I remember being out there last fall, and there was a child running toward the electric fence. I don't know if you were around when this happened, and somebody just, like, their eyes got big and they grabbed it, and they didn't know the child, but they knew, you know, that's it. We're going to protect that child, and it was very apparent that people cared about the younger generation too.
I've been spanked by everybody in our church when I was a kid. Probably 8 times over. Like, our whole church is that way.
I'm going to go to your church just so I can spank you.
I think this is great.
It's been a while since I've been spanked, but yeah.
So I'm just going to go down this little rabbit hole. So it occurs to me, I sometimes refer back to this book by Charles Murray. I'm forgetting the name, but he refers to little platoons, I think is what he calls it. And meaning you've got your little community, your group, and it's your family, it's your friends, it's your church, it's your fraternal organization, it's your neighborhood.
Right.
You know, obviously out rural it'd be a bigger neighborhood, but it's in those groups that you find your identity. It's in those groups that you learn your sense of responsibility, your sense of charity. And what happens when we rely more and more on government is we rely less and less on these communities.
Spot on.
And you really lose yourself in the world. You lose what the purpose of your life is. And I think that this, I mean, I can go deep here. This is what I believe ails us on so many levels, with regard to depression, with regard to how we interact, with regard to how we have lost any sense of civil discourse, where we've grown dependent on government rather than ourselves and our neighbors. Instead of our neighbor and our pastor, you know, we just say, oh, what program do I need to apply for? And so that's, you know, just to give you sort of why this is something I wish I could somehow clone or replicate what you have. So I hope that you recognize, I know you do, how...
well, you're welcome to come to church with us anytime.
It is, and your father's fantastic too. I mean, seriously, the whole family is just great. So you are very blessed. You are one blessed dude with your wife, Alicia. I mean, great family, great time. If you ever get a chance to visit,
oh, fun. I'm
just telling you, it's a fantastic experience just going out there for your Harvest Festival, where you have your friends and your family all together, and I'm so happy to be able to be invited to go to that.
Well, we're happy to have you. We invite everybody. I mean, everybody. I think the most we ever had out there was like almost 500-ish people at one time.
That's crazy.
So you were saying that, Rick, and you know, our founding fathers, they asked our founding fathers, what have you given us, if you recall? At the signing of the Constitution, of course, the Federalist Papers just weren't good enough, so they had to have the Constitution. And they said, what have you given us? And they said, a republic. And I think that was Jefferson.
Ben Franklin, I believe. Ben Franklin, a republic, if you can keep it.
Yeah, if you can keep it.
Yep.
And they said, what did you mean by that? He said, well, a republic is made for a moral Christian people. It is wholly inadequate for any other.
Yep.
And the reason for it is our whole basis of our government was built on the premise of love your neighbor as yourself. And if we lose that, and we have lost that to a large extent, you know, the Homestead Act, what did people do? A family of 14 that had really a rock and a stick to play with. Your family of 14 or 12 and your family of 8. After church, we all got together and we played baseball after church. And your family was just like my family, and that's how it was.
Yeah.
And we had to get along because you had a plow and I had the arrow and you had the whatever, and we lost that in our community.
I've got a scalpel. You've got everything else. All right, we're going to have to cut it there. Folks, stick with us. We are going to be back talking with Representative Simons about a bill that's very interesting.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here. all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
Everybody needs an off season, but our announcers have a tough time slowing down.
Hey, do you mind if I practice a little bit? Right, I'm really big man. Johnson holds, shoots, he scores!
Incredible! For the second time today, Brent has jammed the printer.
Lowry's third caramel roll of the day. That's a bold move.
And he drains one. Blind squirrel finds a nut. And back to normal.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
You're back with No Apologies on Beck, your after hours oasis of sanity. I am your host, Rick Becker, co-host Lori Hentz, and for segment 2 of 2 segments with Representative Luke Simons is Representative Luke Simons.
From Dickinson, District 36. I
All
like
right.
your pin there too. I think that's pretty
Thank
fancy
you.
there. That's
So
pretty-
enough embarrassing you. Let's talk. You want to talk
praise.
about House Bill 1340. And you talk about this bill. This is deals with curtilage, and it's a vocabulary word that Lori had brought up the other day.
We actually played a clip of Luke Simons on our show using the word curtilage in sentences. So curtilage means the area around your home.
It does. That's exactly what it means. So have you talked about this at all on the show?
Not this bill, no.
No, okay. So when I had a constituent, as a backdrop of this, that was charged with some animal neglect, and it was a bad situation. They ended up making a Hollywood movie out of this thing, and it was interesting. The movie is a little, for a Quaker, you don't watch things like that, but it was a pretty nasty thing. And anyways, saying that, the attorney was a Democrat, and he put me on the witness stand, and he told me before that, he said, "Can I make you look like an idiot in front of everybody?"
He said that on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
And I said, if it's going to help the case, absolutely. You know, it's not about us. It's not. That's one of the things I like about Rick as a legislator. It's just not about him.
Right.
It's about liberty. He has an agenda, and that agenda is not about Rick Becker, the Rick Becker. It's about, we have an agenda, and that agenda is liberty. So I didn't care as long as it would help my constituent. And he put me on the stand, and he said, "Luke, would it surprise you to know, or any Western rancher, because we ranch as well, that you don't have Fourth Amendment protections under the Constitution 60 feet from your home?" And I said, "Yeah, it would." He said, "So," I said, "like, what do you mean?" And he said, "Like, literally, somebody's out in your chicken coop, what would you do?" I said, "Well, I'd meet him outside with the appropriate tools, and I would persuade him to stay there until law enforcement came there. You know, like, what are you doing? Molesting my chickens? What are you doing?
Right.
And he said, well, what would that be like if it was a law enforcement officer? And at that point, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And that's when I heard about curtilage and where that comes from, where it stems from. And in North Dakota, we've adopted English law. Of course, we were supposed to have common law, but we adopted this English law saying that, I'll give you a scenario. I'm a deputy, and I hear about an O.J. Simpson white Bronco that's missing with 3 teenage girls in it from last night. I'm driving down the road early that morning. Out in the middle of this field is an O.J. Simpson Bronco, tipped over in a ravine, through the barbed wire fence, etc. Do I need a search warrant?
I'm going to assume not.
No, because I have probable cause.
Right.
The Constitution says with probable cause. So no, I don't need any kind of search warrant. Even if it says no trespassing, I don't need a search warrant. And that's probable. We all understand that.
Right.
The problem is 60 feet from your home, well, let me back up. Your effects, your person, can't search me.
Nope.
My effects,
your things.
My things, my papers, my office, this office, they need a search warrant, come in here. This isn't your home, but this is still your office, so it's under your papers. Your vehicle in North Dakota is an extension of your home.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting. That's why you can carry a gun on properties there as long as your vehicle's not locked, because it's an extension of your home. But your outbuildings, and this is what most people don't realize, if it's 60 feet from your curtilage, from your home, you do not need a search warrant. So, lake cabins, grain bins, get this, your lake cabin, or a Quonset, or a shop. They can search the whole shop without a search warrant.
Really?
But if your vehicle is parked in the shop, that is exempt because it has a title. Does that make any sense to anybody?
That's very odd.
Let's pull up, we've got a photo here, which I think is just a farmstead. Let's pull up a little graphic.
In that building, well, and that's both those scenarios.
Sure. So tell us about, we use this. Did you draw this?
I drew, yes, that's my artwork.
Okay, it's very, very good.
That painting is for sale, that drawing, and I can sign that. But, so that drawing there, 60 feet from the curtilage, if you can see, so even the flagpole would be exempt. Your outhouse, your shop, your Quonset, your grain bins, your barn. The big thing is with animal cruelty stuff, with these animal activist type peoples, all of your animals are now subject to an anytime inspection without a search warrant at any time they want to. In fact, I will go so far to say that a veterinarian in our area was with the deputy, and they were doing a wellness check on a horse, different case from the one they made the movie on. And the sheriff, there was nobody home, the deputy, excuse me, walked into the barn and said, "Come on in." And he said, "Do you have a warrant?" He said, "No, no warrant." He said, "Well then, I'm not going in there." He goes, "No, this is 60 feet from their home. It's completely legal for us to do this." He said, "I won't do it." He said, I know these people out in western North Dakota.
Yeah.
And that's not going to bump here."
Right.
And this is being done in North Dakota. It needs reformed.
So this bill that you are putting forth reforms this issue?
Yep. They would need a search warrant for all buildings. And what's funny to me is, Lori, is law enforcement fights us on so many silliness. They come in and they make these claims that just aren't so. And it's like, well, have you read the Constitution of the United States? They say they've swore up an oath to it.
Right.
So they should be wanting to support that. And this is clearly not the intention. The O.J. Simpson is Open Fields Doctrine, and that's what we're talking about here, is Open Fields Doctrine. So O.J. Simpson vehicle in the middle of the ditch, out in the middle of a field, whatever, clearly open fields doctrine. You can see with the naked eye, that's called reasonable cause.
Yep.
And
the barn, not so much. We're short on time here. Is this has this been voted on in committee at all?
It has not been.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even have a hearing for it yet.
Not yet. All right. Well, Luke,
Keep an
best
eye
of
on this
luck
one.
on House Bill 1340. Thank you very much for joining us. Always appreciate you. Folks, why don't you stick with us? We have Mailbag next. Mailbag.
Howdy folks, it's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hey-bossing breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. It's time for Mailbag.
Well, it's Friday, so it's a good time to take a look at the week's comments on social media. And speaking of social media, you can get in touch with us on social media. You can instant message us. You can tell us what you think on Facebook. And
I have it right here.
Oh, okay.
You want to know?
All right.
Facebook, at No Apologies with Becker.
Okay.
Twitter, shocking, at No Apologies with Becker. TikTok, at Beck_News_TV. I'm not fond of that one. We got to get another one.
Right.
Instagram, at Beck News TV. Email, noapologieswithbecker at becknews.com. Website, beck.news.
Now, the great thing about the website, I'm just going to say, is that you can watch back episodes of the show, too, if you want to catch up, and binge watch or something on a weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to do that. But you may. If you do, you can find it then, too. And
I think you're underselling us.
Or maybe so, sorry. But that would be a lot of No Apologies with Becker, so if you binge watch. So anyway,
Okay.
you can catch up on what we're doing. So we have Mailbag today, and we have taken a plethora of little tiny... That's why you're looking out the window. This is the interesting thing about having a studio, because suddenly somebody gets squirrel. Okay, so we're going to put up on the screen our first email. This one came to our No Apologies with Becker email, and it's to Rick. Rick, have you ever invited anyone from the Democratic Party to be on the show? Just curious. Love the show. Keep up the good work. So the question bears repeating. Have you asked any Democrats?
I have. I haven't been turned down. I expect we're going to have 1 or 2 Democrats on next week.
Excellent.
I'm happy to have anybody who is interested and has an interesting topic. So I've asked a couple, and they said likely, and they would get back to me.
Fantastic.
I tried to reassure them that
Well,
because
and you
I'm
are-
kind of known as like the far right extremist radical guy because I like liberty, but they don't know me well enough to know that I'm not going to screw them over. I'm not going to try and do a big gotcha. I'm not going to do any of that. So, but I mean, I guess it's not unreasonable to wonder if I'm trying to put them in a position of embarrassment, which I'm not.
You're not.
But it's good to have opposing views, and if they have something that they believe in. We had Vicky Steiner, who is in favor of the
Pushing
gas
taxes,
tax,
right,
which
right.
I'm absolutely not.
Right.
So we'll see. Yeah.
And you were very, very kind, too, about that, too. So do not worry if you feel like you're going to have an opposing viewpoint. And this is not just for legislators, either. If you, as a citizen, would like to come on the show and talk about something, we're open to that, are we not?
I'm open to it. The crazier you are, the more likely we're going to ask you on. So.
Wow. Super cool. Great. Okay, put the next one up, please, guys. Now, this one is, I believe, a Facebook start. Well, we started by posing the question, and we did this a few days ago now. Should the legislature end Governor Burgum's state of emergency?
Let me interject. I believe this is coming on the floor tomorrow.
Oh.
It received a 9.
Okay, wait a minute. You're talking about Friday. We're on Friday, so it probably would have already.
I meant Monday. Okay, so
all right.
I'm not. Okay, it's not a charade. I'm wearing the same damn clothes. You know, we record Friday show on Thursday night, people.
Okay, it's all out there now. I'm like, it's not really.
Look,
it's actually,
I want
they're
Friday
gonna see
night
this
off.
on Friday. So.
If you work Friday night, I'm not working Friday night, for Pete's sake.
Okay, we're going to go back to this because we've gone off the rails.
So I'm sorry. Possibly earlier today, the House voted on this. And we're going to see how it turned out.
All righty then. So I love that. I really appreciate all of the variety of answers we got to this. Maybe prudent to wait for a period of time and determine what impacts the virus variants will have on North Dakota's population. Concur? And someone else writes back, well, how many years should this take? And we do have a gift for some fantastically clever and sarcastic respondents. Those people who watch our show understand satire and sarcasm, which is cool. And then we got a whole lot of yeses. Yep, for sure, yes. Yes, does a bear crap in the woods. Again, very clever people. And then on the other side there, go ahead.
Yes, should have never been declared in the first place. And end those stupid annoying ad council ads with the annoying girl still saying, quote, we're all hashtag alone together, and the folksy guy telling us to mask up and give a little space. If the state's spending money on that, it needs to stop. I'm sure people know they can wear masks or stay away from people if they want to. Well, that's absolutely true.
Exactly.
The state is spending money. Most of it is federal money, which is still our money. But and then they say it's tough to vote against the governor when you've taken his money. Now, this person, I believe, is replying or referring to legislators who Burgum has helped.
Has helped monetarily. All right, moving on here. We have some editorial comments about the program here.
Horrible show hosted by a guy who is way more concerned with self-promotion than he is about doing what's right for North Dakota.
Then
Okay.
Below that, will your head fit in a Ziploc bag? Asking for a friend. And then what show are you watching? I really I appreciate that too.
I
actually, and let me just say as an aside too, that this guy is not interested in self-promotion, or I wouldn't be on TV with him. So.
Well, you can't convince people that. I mean,
well, I know that, but
I mean,
I know what I know, and I know that you do not do self-promotion. You do liberty promotion.
I know.
You do freedom promotion.
But it comes across that way to a lot of people. I accept it. I accept it. It's what it is.
I don't accept
it. Don, I'm going to apologize to you. We didn't get your name off in the responses to your thing, so I am sorry. That was not intentional.
I didn't realize that either. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But you know what? The asking for a friend, I never tire of that. I don't know why.
always
I think
funny,
it's
isn't it?
funny. It's so dumb and it's so old, but I still think it's funny.
And then on the right-hand side, of course, we have the two opposing groups of the show. One says the land of the bazaar. Now, I don't know whether they're referring to the program as the land of the bazaar or just the United States of America or North Dakota. I'm just not certain.
I think it's just this studio.
Okay.
Is the land of the bazaar.
Okay, perhaps. And then I love your show. Well, thank you for loving our show. We love our show. It's fun.
Guess what land I'm referring to now?
The land of the lost?
Land of the lost.
Okay,
Lee
so
Stacks.
this is the thing, we're like the same age, and so we have all of these really weird things in common from our childhood, like Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Krofft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad. Anyway, thank you for writing in. You can email us at noapologies@becknews.com, and we'll see if maybe it'll get on TV. It could.
See, now that was self-promotion, for sure.
Lee Stacks.
Totes. All right, guys.
All right, we're doing one more for the
off
week.
the cuff, off
It's
the
an
cuff.
off the cuff next. Come back.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Rush hour traffic in North Dakota is almost unheard of, Noah.
I'm speechless. It's something you just don't see around here, especially at this hour of the day.
Brian, can you say anything from your perspective?
Guys, I can. All of this traffic is because some doofus drove off the road.
Doofus? Well, let's hope you can help him out of there.
No.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
All right, great job.
Yeah, that went very well.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Apologies. It's Friday night. All right, it's our last segment. Thank you for hanging with us. If you haven't laughed on tonight's show yet, then something is wrong with you.
That's right, because it's hilarious.
All right.
Well, maybe it's just to you and me. But
Off the
okay,
cuff,
so
off the
off the
cuff.
cuff, the premise is, for those of you who have never seen an off the cuff, we did one on Wednesday earlier this week. And What it is I will ask questions of which he has no knowledge. I have given him no prep time on this at all. And you're really brave and very gracious for doing that because I would be terrified to do that. So thank you for not doing that back to me. My first one is on your thoughts. I'm just looking for your thoughts on the 1776 project. Now, I'm just going to give you a little background. The report came out from the 1776 Commission. President Biden immediately torpedoed and disbanded the entire commission. It had only been put together in September. It was formed in September, destroyed in January by executive order by then President Donald Trump. And the 1776 Commission was commonly seen as a direct response to the New York Times 1619 project, you may recall,
Yes.
which is the one that portrays the United States as an inherently racist nation. Well, according to this guy named Matthew Spalding, the commission's executive director, the disbanding of the Trump administration's 1776 commission and the removal of its report from the White House website, they took it off the website by President Joe Biden, is the result, according to Matthew Spalding, of its incompatibility between the United States founding principles and some of the policies that the new administration is attempting to empower and instill, such as identity politics and critical race theory.
Right.
So, your thoughts on 1776 project? Was it not only ill-fated, but was it ill-conceived? Was it a good idea?
Okay, so from what I understand, and I'd like to read it because I don't think it's overly extensive. You can read it from what I understand in a weekend or something of that nature. What I understand is it was in response to the 1619 project. So the 1619 project is something that was created to sort of rewrite history,
right,
according to the narratives of this critical race theory, and that whole critical race theory sort of underlies the aspect of capitalism is bad, whites are racist, on and on and on. Pretty much everything about America is bad, and a new Marxist utopia is good. And if we can, through this project, rewrite history such that there is nothing respectable about it, then we've taken away the foundation and the principles that America is founded upon. And so it helps. You know, it's like 1984. It's like a lot of these dystopian novels. You use words that have double meanings, that have the opposite meanings. You rewrite history. You repeat lies until they're truths. You force people to moderate their language, moderate their speech, use the proper all of this is part of it. So rewriting history is part of it. And let's see, what's this? A ship appeared on this horizon. Enslaved Africans. I gotcha.
Oh, this is the opening of the 1619 project thing.
So the thing is, there may be some components in the 1619 project that are worthwhile, but the issue is that it's rewriting history to fit a narrative.
Right.
Now, if we have missed out on some components that are brought to light, then that's fine. But I believe that the people behind 1619 have already admitted that, like, yeah, this isn't actually factual. So the 1776 project, in response, I think is fantastic in the sense if it brings us back to the founding principles, and not just that it's a response politically, but if it is something that is approachable, that people can read and understand, if it's cited so that it's shown to be factual, and it counters the narrative with truth, then I think that is absolutely important.
Right, and I would love to see that come back again, personally, because I do feel it's really important to counter that narrative of that revisionist history stuff, because there are children growing up now who are learning only the revisionist history, and they're not learning the 1776 stuff. There was a sample of letters written to the Daily Signal, and respondents had some things to say, and one of them said, "To rewrite history to fit a political agenda is a terribly frightening thing, and I don't believe enough true patriotic Americans recognize the evil damage that is being done in our country." And I would agree with that.
Well, it is evil. It is evil. And I'll go back. Whenever these progressive leftists are trying to rewrite history and tear down statues and all of that, the comparison is the Taliban, where everything that came before them that they disagree with, the philosophically or religiously or politically, is torn down, eradicated, and you can never speak of again. Even if it's an example of something bad that happened, you can look back on history and recognize we've been there before, we don't want to go there again.
Exactly. All right, my second one, and it's a quick one here, is should the state of North Dakota pick up the slack where LSS left off with regard to importing and resettling immigrants? Now, the background is Governor Burgum on the 25th of January announced that the State Department of Human Services will be taking over refugee resettlement after the private agency that has managed the resettlement, Lutheran Social Services, shut down. And they shut down, and then now, and if you remember, there was a big Burleigh County meeting on that one. I was
remember.
there.
Yeah, I was too.
And it was really, it was a parade in my mind of one person after another giving their emotional story, and there were no numbers and no logic and no facts that were actually even presented at the meeting. It was astounding.
Okay, so this is one that's easy to take emotion out of it somewhat. Okay, first off, it started off that it was a mandate to the states. The states didn't have choices. You have to take refugees, you have to resettle them.
Correct.
The state of North Dakota was doing that. Again, I don't know all the details, I'm not deep in it, but then found that it was better, they thought, to hand off the responsibilities to Lutheran Social Services. So Lutheran Social Services was then the conduit or the means to getting these people resettled. Trump came along and he said, that's not right. We're going to leave it up to the states. We're going to leave it up to the counties, which is absolutely proper. And then you can have it be. So Burgum said, yes, we're going to allow this to happen. The counties effectively said yes as well. A court struck down Trump's order that it was optional. And so now we're stuck with a federal mandate, which is wrong. Nevertheless, it is a mandate at this time. So somehow we're supposed to be doing this. And so Burgum is, I guess, going to take it back on, which is okay. However, like if I was governor, I would find a way to say, we're going to do this our way, not the federal government's way. I don't know what options he has, but he does.
All right, thank you. Good job on Off the Cuff. And next time, join us again on Monday. We will be talking about the impending Senate impeachment trial.
Ooh.
See you then.